Hello friends, welcome to today's video. Today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, is going to be a combo of a sharing a recipe video and also trying a recipe video. So this idea came from two things. First of all, on the Weight Watchers WW app, there are all kinds of recipes there. And when we used to go in person, you would get a little card with like the theme for the week, and then there would always be a recipe on the other side of it, a featured recipe for the week. And you can actually still get that in the app if you go to like this week's theme or this week. It's the weekly technique is what it's called. You do get the technique, but then if you scroll down, there will be a featured recipe. So the featured recipe, it was actually last week, was a fake cookie dough with like confetti cookie dough, and it's the kind of cookie dough that is made out of chickpeas. And I have seen this floating around on like Pinterest, on different websites, on social media, and I have never tried it before, and I've seen such varied reactions to whether people like this chickpea dough or not. And so I thought this might be a good opportunity to do two things. The first is to test out some of the recipes in the WW app, and the second is to do a little bit of a taste and reaction to whether this is a good dessert, whether it's a good substitute, or if it's very chickpea-ish in the end. I have already gone out and purchased the ingredients for this, and I'm going to put an ingredient list down below, and as I go through the recipe, I'll also tell you the amounts that I'm using. It ended up being a little more frustrating than I anticipated. One of the ingredients is powdered almond butter, and I thought, okay, that's probably going to be hard to find. I'll see if I can find powdered peanut butter, and I did a few searches online of like Loblaws and Walmart, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So we have one Whole Foods in town, and I thought, okay, Whole Foods is going to be the kind of place that's going to have that ingredient for sure, as well as some of the other stuff in here. So I'll go and do all my shopping for this recipe there, because I'm very much trying to cut down on, like, if I'm going out grocery shopping, I'm going to one place, so then I'm not going place to place. And the frustrating thing, and this is also why I don't shop at Whole Foods very much, is they were sold out of powdered peanut butter. So the entire reason why I went there, they didn't have it. So I was doing some quick Googling in the store, and some people said that peanut flour could be used as a substitute for powdered peanut butter. And then I thought, well, I'll just get almond flour as a substitute for powdered almond butter. Now it ends up that the almond flour is more points. I think that's because when you get powdered peanut butter, powdered almond butter, they defat it. So a lot of the fat is removed, which is not true for almond flour. And then I couldn't find just one of the ingredients in here is fat-free cream cheese. And I feel like they took maybe an American recipe and put it on the Canadian app, because I don't see fat-free cream cheese really in any of my stores. We have light cream cheese, but not fat-free. And at Whole Foods, they don't have like your regular Philadelphia cream cheese. They just had like this organic brand, which was like $8 for this cream cheese. But again, I'm not going to try to go store hopping, so I got that. Again, the recipe calls for light brown sugar, and I've only ever seen like golden sugar or like dark brown sugar in my stores. So again, let me know if you're Canadian. Is light brown sugar a thing that you've seen before? Anyway, I ended up picking up golden brown sugar, and then finally I feel like I've substituted so many things in this recipe, but at this point in the store I was a little frustrated, and the only sprinkles that they had, because this is supposed to be like confetti cookie dough with sprinkles in it, the only sprinkles that they had were organic sprinkles, of course, because it's Whole Foods, and they were like $8 for the sprinkles. But they also had Lily's mini chocolate chips, which I've seen before, and I never in people's like YouTube videos, but I've never actually seen in Canada before. So I ended up picking those up instead because I thought they would be tastier, and also they were less expensive than buying sprinkles, and I was more likely to use them for other things than the sprinkles. Editing Melissa here. It wasn't until I was actually editing this video and watching myself assemble the recipe that I realized I did not pick up the Lily's chocolate chips. They did have them there, but I picked up just regular mini chocolate chips, which is probably also why they scanned in for such high points. So all that to say, My recipe is going to have a lot of substitutions, so I feel like nothing should make that much of a difference in the flavor, but we will see when it comes together. But I will mention that mine ended up being more points. The actual recipe in the WW app ends up being 2 points per serving. Mine ended up being 5 points per serving. And part of this is because of the brown sugar, part of it's because of the almond flour, but a huge part of it is using the chocolate chips instead of the sprinkles. I think even if you couldn't find the fat-free cream cheese as well, as add up more points. If you can't find the fat-free cream cheese and you can't find the light brown sugar, you can still make this pretty close if you use sprinkles instead of the chocolate chips, and I think that it would end up being 3 to 4 points per serving. All that being said, I really hope this is good because it's been a little bit of a frustrating process so far. So let's go into my kitchen and make the dough. So I'm going to get the chickpeas drained because apart from that, everything else should just be measuring it into the food processor. So here we have our food processor. I just have the blade in here. And the first thing I'm putting in are the drained and rinsed chickpeas. We need 1/3 of a cup of unsweetened powdered almond butter. As I said, I'm going to be using this almond flour. And I actually don't have 1/3 of a cup measurement, but it should be fine for me to use 1/4 cup and then a little bit more than a tablespoon extra. And I'll add a heaping tablespoon extra to get us up to 1/3 of a cup. Next, we're doing a 1/4 cup of unpacked light brown sugar. So I've just smoothed that out without packing it down too much. 3 tablespoons of almond milk. 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract, and this I'm just going to eyeball. I next need 2 ounces of cream cheese. As I mentioned, this is supposed to be fat-free, but this is light. I'm going to measure it with a scale because I'm not that used to measuring in ounces. And a trick if you are a scale user is I'm actually putting this on the scale and then tearing it out to 0. And then I will take enough off here until it reads -2 ounces. There we go. That is everything that I need to blend together. And then I'm going to mix the chocolate chips in after it's blended. I'm actually a little surprised. I know this is a sweet dish, but I'm a little surprised there isn't just like a little bit of salt in here, because salt will usually bring out the flavor of anything. Even if you're making cookies or something sweet, a little bit of salt usually helps sort of just bring all the flavors out. Now I get to fight with my food processor for a few minutes. Did I just Google the directions? Yes, I did. Let's hope it works this time. Yes, although this needs to be perfect so stuff doesn't fly out. Okay guys, here we go. This is a much softer consistency than I expected it to be, so I thought it was going to be hard, kind of like when you get like a block of Pillsbury cookie dough, but it's sort of a little bit wetter than that. So I do wonder if you made it with perhaps less almond milk, if you would get sort of that stiffer consistency. But what I'm going to do now is take out the blade and mix in the chocolate chips. So here we have it just in a bowl. It actually made a little bit more than it looked like when it was in the blender. And I'm just going to measure in 1/4 cup of these chocolate chips. We'll just fold this in. I mean, that does look a lot like chocolate chip cookie dough. This makes 8 portions. It says the 8 portions are a little over 3 tablespoons, 3½ tablespoons. I'm going to portion this out into a little serving bowl, and then I will meet you over on the other camera for a taste test. Here we go. I'm so curious about how this is going to taste. And I will mention that at the end, I will also give you a breakdown of what this is in terms of like calories and macros in it, just if you're not in the WW program, but you are still curious. So here we go. It does smell a little chickpea-ish. If you are somebody who finds chickpeas to be a strong flavor, you might not be into that. I actually find, to my palate, chickpeas are a fairly neutral taste, so. So here's what's hitting me. It's definitely not super sweet. I like having the chocolate chips in there because I think the chocolate chips make it more reminiscent of cookie dough. It tastes very grainy. So I mean, I think I could have probably blended it for longer. I don't mind it. I will definitely eat it. I feel like the initial taste is more chickpea, and the finishing taste and aftertaste is more cookie dough. I'm gonna have a bit without the chocolate chips and see how that is. I really don't mind it. If you really don't like chickpeas, I don't think you're going to like this. If you, like me, find chickpeas to be a fairly neutral taste, I think you won't mind it. I think I would err towards over blending it rather than under blending it, because I do think the hardest thing here is that it's more of a grainy texture than a creamy texture. Like if you're actually eating cookie dough, it is that very buttery, creamy texture, and it's not that. But definitely if you're going to make this, put in some kind of chocolate chip or some kind of sprinkles that have some crunch to give a little bit of a different texture to it. Yeah. Definitely the first half is chickpea and the second half of the experience is cookie dough. I don't mind it. And the thing is, now I have all the ingredients here to make this, and that was a pretty, apart from my frustration of the purchasing process, it was a pretty easy recipe to make. I mean, you just dump everything into a food processor. I do wish, I wish the consistency was a bit stiffer. So I would say maybe less almond milk, but then you want it to blend well. So it might be that this is sort of the best combination. I'm curious, let me know if this is something that you would try. Let me know if there's one of these like chickpea cookie dough recipes that you've done before that tastes really like cookie dough. And let me know if you like me testing out recipes from the app. I did plug this recipe as well as I made it with all of my ingredients into MyFitnessPal, and again I made it for 8 servings. That's how many servings it said it was in the WW app, and it came out to 163 calories per serving with 22.4 grams of carbs, 6.5 grams of fat, and 8 grams of protein. So not a super high protein recipe, but a nice balance, and not too bad for a sweet-ish kind of snack. Again, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!